Hey, remember these things? About a year ago, McFarlane decided to do Transformer Page Punchers, which was kind of cool because everyone was like, ah, McFarlane and Hasbro working together. And they released these two figurines, and it was kind of interesting because it was based on IDW stuff as opposed to like Skybound stuff. You get two comics. You know, McFarlane had been doing this with their DC stuff. And when they did it with DC, it went on clearance almost immediately. And when they did it with Transformers and G.I. Joe, it went on clearance almost immediately. So, two comic books that are years old, and if you do want to get the back issues, you're going to have to, like, go and hope your comic shop just has a bunch of very old comics. And two somewhat painted figurines. How much do you think this package went for? $20! It went for $20. I paid $5. The worst thing about this is they did the clamshell. And I don't know why McFarlane has such a big thing for the clamshell. They do it with their 7-inch figures too, with the page punchers. This is a nightmare to open. There is no way to just pry it open, so you gotta go in. And there's no real reason for this. I know at one point McFarlane was like, oh, it's so that the comics don't get humid. Which is funny because, you know, I can go find Combiner Wars guys still on card, and they just use cardboard. But there was never an issue with the comics there. It's because they think that this makes it seem more pristine. It's the same reason why NECA used to do it. And it doesn't. It just makes me say, I don't think I want to open these guys, even though I've had them for a year now. Because I did. I got this guy right after the Many Toys of Soundwave. And I was thinking, oh, I'll make a review of them eventually. And I didn't because of how much I knew it would be a struggle to do exactly what I just did. Oh, and great, we're out of focus. Now we're back. So as I said, you do get two comic issues here, but they chose very strange issues. So they got Optimus Prime issue 1, which, you know, makes sense. It starts off Optimus Prime's ongoing solo series, and it's a fine read. I wasn't a big fan of Optimus Prime, just because I didn't like what they were doing with Optimus in IDW at the time. I'm sorry. Annexing Planets Optimus is not my favorite Optimus. Prowl Optimus is not my favorite. But I love IDW Megatron, and they gave you an issue of Lost Light. They gave you issue 6, which seems a bit strange at first, until you realize this is the issue where Megatron gets stuck on the Functionalist Council, and he effectively becomes the Optimus Prime of the parallel universe. And they even end the issue with one of my favorite turns of phrases, the peace through empathy. Like, this was the culmination of a brilliant story arc. Megatron slowly becoming good. One of my favorite versions of Megatron ever. My only issue is they gave you the final issue, as opposed to maybe More Than Meets the Eye, or anything that was kind of along the way. I feel like this was a bad call, because we're starting off the Optimus Prime story, we're ending off the Megatron story, and if you want more of this, well, you already know the ending, but there's a lot of issues you're going to have to grab now, and then you're just starting off here, and this is the weaker of the two books, I think. But, you know, they were probably just the comics that were approved by Hasbro, and thematically, it makes sense. Even if you want to say, like, oh, well, it's supposed to show Megatron going good, Optimus going bad, okay, I get that. Thematically, it works. And then you get the two figures. So, just stop. They're little 3-inch tall figurines. Oh, I just realized this. Megatron's wrong. He has his fusion cannon. He shouldn't have that. Yeah, they absolutely should have done Dying of the Light then. Where he had... That's the only time this design had the fusion cannon. Also, is the fusion cannon on the wrong arm? No, it's on the right arm. It is. I'm just crazy. And then in terms of articulation, we got a... Is that... No, that's a swivel at the head. Ball joint at the arm. Ball joint at the hip. Very impaired on Megatron. No knees, no elbows. Very little paint. Optimus is, Wow, that's terrible. Those are ball joints, but they're even more impaired. Those might as well just be swivels. And also, like... Oh, wait a minute. They have a waist as well. Yeah, they both have waists. Optimus looks okay. It kind of just looks like every other cheap Optimus you've ever seen. You could get this Optimus out like a Kinder Surprise egg. Megatron at least is a design we don't get a lot of. But even then, it may be like if he had just a little bit more paint. let's think about this, right? Nowadays, comics go for about $5. They were like $4.27, something like that. These two, when they came out, would have been more like $3. So, but let's be fair. Inflation, yada, 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 that's $10 in comics. Really, it's more like $9, but okay, $9. That means that these two, on their own, are $6.50 a piece. And man, I buy Blockies. Blockies is like $6. Is this the equivalent to a Blockies? I don't think it is. I don't think it is. This is the reason why this ended at Wave 1. They did a 2-pack of Bone Beam Wheeljack, which I have too. I don't have two. I have that one as well. And I guess I'll have to open them up eventually. I don't know. It sucks because it's not even that these are bad issues necessarily. Optimus Prime is not my cup of tea, but it's not a bad read. It just, I feel like they chose very weird issues. I honestly think that what they should have done was Spotlight Orion, Spotlight Megatron, and then just do IDW Orion packs and then the Stealth Bomber Megatron. That's what I think they should have done, because then those are self-contained stories, too. So they'd be easier to digest, better for a thing like this. It's a thing where I'll never understand why you would give toys with ongoing issues, because then you have to get the toys in a certain order for the story to make sense. You should, if you're going to do this, either have one comic that you're reprinting, or do self-contained stories. That's why Thrilling 30, when it started out, it was all the Spotlight issues. And then as soon as they started doing Dark Cybertron, it got really weird. Because if you didn't get all the toys, you didn't get all the issues of Dark Cybertron. And you wouldn't necessarily know which issues you have or not. But, you know, they're not the worst things ever. They're not the best. $5, it's okay. They're holding hands for gay rights. Alright, end the video.